Get ready for one of the most shocking and exciting court cases Hollywood has ever seen. What really went down between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp? How did a private, troubled relationship become a courtroom show watched around the world? We'll go over the shocking turns, reveals, and twists of their explosive trial and millions of people around the world on the edge of their seats in this video. Who really won, and did justice really happen? The world was interested in a very public trial in 2022, which quickly became one of Hollywood's most talked about scandals. A famous actor couple, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, got caught up in a court case that showed the worst side of their troubled relationship. The Virginia courtroom was the site of what would be called the first trial by TikTok for 6 weeks. Millions of people watched with rapt attention. Fans, law experts, and people on social media all had something to say about the case, which made it feel like everyone was crazy. The news was filled with stories about Depp's defamation suit against Heard, her countersuit, and the painful details of their troubled marriage. What started out as a private tragedy became a worldwide show. The op-ed in the Washington Post and the bad press case. It all started with an opinion piece Amber Heard wrote for the Washington Post in 2018. She talked about having survived domestic violence in this piece, but she never named Johnny Depp by name. Even though his name wasn't in the story, Depp sued, saying that it slandered him by making him look like an abuser and hurt his career. Depp asked for $50 million in damages, saying that the article had a terrible effect on his career and image. Heard then sued Depp's lawyers for $100 million, stating that they had slandered her by saying that her abuse claims were false. What was at stake for the two actors was high on a personal and business level. Punitive and compensatory damages totaling $15 million were given to Depp. However, this number was later lowered to $10.35 million because of Virginia law limits. Heard, on the other hand, won one of her 3 counterclaims and was given $2 million. Even though there were financial settlements, the trial had real effects that went far beyond the courtroom. They were felt in the public eye, on social media, and in the daily lives of those who were involved. Abuse of both, a difficult connect. The trial made it clear right away that Depp and Heard's partnership was anything but simple. Laurel Anderson, a clinical psychologist who worked with the pair while they were married, said that they were abusive to each other in the relationship. Dr. Anderson told the judge that both people were acting in a bad way, but Heard was usually the one who started fights. She talked about times when Heard would fight to keep Depp from going, which suggests a deep-seated need to be in charge. In his evidence, Dr. Anderson said that Depp had been able to control his temper for most of his life, but that his relationship with Heard made it worse. She said that Heard often made things worse between people and that her actions seemed to be motivated by a desire for respect. The psychologist's ideas made the public story more complicated by showing that the case wasn't as easy as one person being the victim and the other the aggressor. Make Amber Burn was one of the famous text messages. When Depp was shown a bunch of text messages he had sent to British actor Paul Bettany in 2013, it was one of the most shocking parts of the trial. "Let's burn her" was what Depp wrote about Heard in one letter. When Depp said, "Let's drown her before we burn her," the mood turned darker. Depp felt bad and sorry when asked to explain these troubling messages. He said they were meant as a crude joke and were based on a Monty Python sketch. He stressed that the texts were not meant to be taken seriously and were just his dark sense of humor, not a real plan to hurt Heard. The texts were very important in the trial because they showed how bad things were between the couple and how Depp often used harsh language to show his anger. Even though Depp played down the messages, they were used as proof by Heard's lawyers to back their claims of emotional abuse. Personality disorders and PTSD are two different but related mental illnesses. Expert psychologists were hired by both Depp and Heard's legal teams to check on Heard's mental health, but they came up with different opinions. As part of Depp's defense, forensic psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry said that Heard showed signs of borderline personality disorder, BPD, and dramatic personality disorder, HPD. After looking at Heard's medical records and testing her for about 12 hours, Dr. Curry came to the conclusion that her behavior was caused by a strong fear of being left alone. Audio recordings played during the trial showed that Heard begged Depp not to leave her, which backed this diagnosis. Allegations of drug abuse. During the trial, accusations of drug and drink abuse came up over and over again, with both sides painting very different pictures of how Depp behaved during their relationship. Depp said he had abused drugs in the past, but he said he had been mostly clean during his relationship with Heard because he had gone through oxycodone detox in 2014. Heard, on the other hand, told a very different story. She made Depp look like someone who often drank and used drugs too much, which she said made him more likely to act violently. Heard told several stories about how Depp supposedly lost control because he was high, including one very bad story about Depp passing out in the sand in front of his kids. On the other hand, Depp's lawyers said that Heard also had problems with drugs and booze, and that her portrayal of Depp's drug use was greatly exaggerated. The monster, a dark side. Heard's main point in her evidence was that she talked about Depp's so-called monster persona, which she said came out when he was drunk or high. Heard said that Depp's angry and unpredictable side often caused him to hurt people physically and emotionally. Text shown in court seemed to back up this story. Depp himself talked about his monster child and promised to keep it in a cage. On the other hand, Depp had a different take on the phrase. He said in court that he used the word monster to calm Heard down during their fights, basically agreeing with what she was saying to avoid more trouble. In spite of what Heard said, Depp insisted that he had never been physically violent with her or any other woman. Audio tapes and notes made by hand, taking a look at the chaos. During the trial, both sides played audio records and handwritten notes that showed how Depp and Heard's relationship was really like. In one very telling video, Heard admitted to hitting Depp but said it was nothing serious and blamed Depp for overreacting. She also sent Depp a letter in which she said she was sorry for what she did and that she could be wicked when she was upset. The lawyers for Depp used these recordings and notes to support their claim that Heard was the one who hurt them, but the lawyers for Heard said these were just isolated events that were taken out of context. The event in Australia, different accounts. One of the most controversial parts of the trial was an event that happened in Australia in 2015 while Depp was shooting a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. During an angry fight, Depp said Heard threw a vodka bottle at him and cut the tip of his finger off. His testimony said that he wrote on the wall with the blood from his wound, which he called a nervous breakdown. But Heard told a different story about what happened. During the fight, she said Depp sexually attacked her with a liquor bottle, which she strongly denied. The jury had to figure out who was telling the truth because different people had different versions of what happened. A surgeon that Heard's team called also didn't believe Depp's story about how he hurt his finger, saying that the injury didn't fit with Depp's story. What's going on with Camille Vasquez? As the trial went on, Camille Vasquez, Depp's lawyer, became a star for no apparent reason. Many people on social media praised her sharp cross-examinations and straightforward attitude. Some even called her a legal superstar. Vasquez's questioning of Heard under cross-examination stood out because the two women often disagreed about facts of the case. What we know about Kate Moss? British beauty Kate Moss was called as a witness for Depp at the last minute, which was a surprise. From 1994 to 1998, Moss dated Depp, and Heard had said before that Depp had pushed Moss down a flight of stairs. Heard used this accusation to explain what she did during the fight, saying that she was afraid Depp would hurt her sister in the same way. Heard's emotional last statement. As the trial came to a close, Amber Heard spoke out one last time about how the legal fight had affected her personally. She talked about the threats and harassment she had faced since she told Depp about what she had seen in her statement. Heard said that she got hundreds of death threats every day, and that the trial had changed her life forever. If you don't want to miss out on more in-depth breakdowns of the biggest Hollywood stories and legal battles, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.